What's up, everybody?
Hey, welcome. How's everybody tonight?
Not too bad, not too bad.
Well, I was going to say, don't all speak up at once now.
Bye,
Ashley
Ashley.
goes, don't look at me.
I was trying to sneeze. Well, try not to sneeze. And then I turn the camera off and it goes away.
Oh, nice. I got to remember that trick.
I didn't know it worked. It's a new one.
Interesting.
So, Brett, are you going to introduce our guests?
Sure, I have not prepared anything, but I'm ready. Our guests tonight are Adam and CJ from Mantra Recovery. I was introduced to them a few months ago by a mutual friend, and I interviewed them for Recovery Survey. The episode actually hasn't released yet, but we hit it off. They're super cool guys, and I said, hey, you guys want to join the live show? And they agreed, and here we are. So, yeah.
Yes. Nice to meet you, fellas.
How y'all doing?
So, good, man.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself since Brett didn't tell us too much?
Okay. So we're with Mantra Recovery. We're actually 2/3 of Mantra Recovery. Jenny Edelman couldn't be here this evening, but she is the queen bee of Mantra. So what we do is interventions, wellness coaching, family support. We do some safe transport, entheogenic integration, and wellness companion. We started this company just over a year ago. And, we just saw that there was a need, not really just so much in the industry, but just in general, man, to have a service that actually gave a shit about people and wasn't just so focused on their insurance policy, something that wasn't just 12-step based, and something that truly supported all paths to recovery or not recovery. I mean, really whatever that looks like for the individual, as long as they're making a positive change in their life. So, we do substance use disorder as well as mental health. That's really it in a nutshell. A little bit about me. I was an IV drug user for many years, and I got sober in 2013. So I'll have 10 years clean and sober in July, actually, of this year. And I've worked in the treatment industry for, I'd say, about 9 of those years. And so I have firsthand experience, how shady a lot of these people can be, especially in the private sector. So, just with that knowledge, man, we founded this company, to not be that. Very recently, we got more into the psychedelics in recovery movement. We go to these networking events like TAP and things like that. And, at first I was really kind of scared to even speak on it for fear of being ostracized. But I mean, I speak my mind anyway, and CJ does too.
No cap.
So, we've always risk of being ostracized for our beliefs. And, I'll call anybody out. I really don't give a shit. But, the psychedelics and recovery thing is just, it's so new, and a lot of it is still not legal, but it's definitely not accepted by a lot of people. But there is a lot of value in plant medicine done, in a therapeutic setting, ceremonial, or it's all therapeutic, right? But like I personally use ketamine infusion therapy to get off of an SSRI that I have been on for 10 years. And, that coincides perfectly with my admission into treatment because the resident psychiatrist put me on Zoloft probably within a few days of me entering treatment. and I've been shooting dope for 20 years. So it's like, of course I'm fucking depressed. I'm anxious, whatever. I don't think I was clinically depressed. But she prescribed medication as though I was. And, I just wanted to be med compliant and do something different, right? So I took my meds, man. And a few years later, I thought, why am I taking this shit? I don't see any benefit from it. I want to get off. That was like almost harder than kicking heroin. It was really, really difficult. So I went a couple of weeks, went through this horrible withdrawal, and I ended up having to get back on it because I was managing a sober living home, and I couldn't be that out of sorts, So then a few more years pass. I feel like I know what to expect. Okay, I'm just going to get off this shit. Like, I'm just going to thug that shit out. And I did it, but I didn't really do anything in place of it. I really didn't do a lot of work that needed to be done on myself. And I probably made it about 6 months or so. And I just kind of got into not really a dark place, but it was more something that my wife noticed, and she's like, I think you need to get back on medication. And I fought her on that when she made the remark that she was concerned I might relapse. That kind of fucked me up. She's not an addict or an alcoholic, I'm stepdad to her 3 kids. You know what I mean? We built this really good life for ourselves. And to hear her say that, I was like, fuck, man, I have to, because I can't have her, thinking that. So I did it, and I ended up on that shit for probably a couple of more years until we partnered with a company called NeuroGlow. Shout out Tina Marie and everybody at NeuroGlow. So they're a ketamine infusion therapy clinic. They've got one in McKinney and they have one in Flower Mound, Texas. We partnered with them to offer safe transport to their patients because you have to have a designated driver because it's anesthetic, right? So that's how we sort of, formed this partnership, but they offered to give us the treatment for free. And so I thought, okay, well, if I'm going to support this shit, if I'm going to promote it and, put my name on it, I might as well experience it firsthand. And maybe I can actually use this shit to get off of Zoloft, which they advised against. I will say that. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. They told me not to discontinue my medication while undergoing the treatment. But of course, I'm like, fuck that. You don't know me. So the last dose of Zoloft that I took was the day prior to my first treatment. I did 6 rounds of IV ketamine, and I haven't taken Zoloft since. That was a couple months ago. And I really didn't have any withdrawal symptoms like I had experienced in the past. So I'm a firm believer in the power of that drug and what it can do for people with treatment-resistant depression, PTSD, and really people that want to get off of their antidepressants. I won't get into a lot of the other things that are not entirely legal, but I mean, there's a lot of value in microdosing psilocybin, and there's some other plant medicines that CJ and I will be using ourselves. But again, with the legality and everything, we do have day jobs, so I don't want to get into that too much. But man, I'm living proof that shit works. I had a lot of apprehension going into it because I'm like, man, I'm about to shoot up fucking ketamine that I've used recreationally. And I was an IV drug user for a long time, man. And, I had a head full of AA bullshit where it's like, okay, am I going to use this substance and this phenomenon of craving is going to be set off, and all the bullshit that people teach you. And it's like, man, I went into it with the right intention and I wasn't trying to get high. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. It's a full-on psychedelic experience, though. I mean, you're instantly in a K-hole, but I mean, it was amazing, man. And I did not think about getting high. There was no allergy triggered, no phenomenon of craving and all this shit, that everyone sort of spoon feeds you. So it's awesome, man. And I don't push everybody in that direction because it's not for everybody. But, with 10 years sobriety under my belt and just knowing that my intentions were good is fucking life changing. So I am much more of an advocate for that lane. But yeah, man, I mean, we do interventions and we have 100% success rate with our interventions. We have our own model that we use. Everything that we do is a little different than what the next person, than the way that they would do it. We pride ourselves on truly being innovative, down to just the design of all of our social media, all of our videos and marketing and all that stuff. And, we just speak our minds, and we just want to set ourselves apart from everybody else in this industry because really it's a tired industry, man. And we just want to breathe new life into it. That's all I got. CJ?
Hey, I'm CJ with Mantra Recovery. I'm also a recovering IV opioid user. I used for about 20 years. And we originally started Mantra Recovery to help others find their path. And this goes with substance use disorder, mental health, homelessness. Really, man, Mantra Recovery, yeah, we're a business, but this is also a lifestyle. People, I've been to prison 4 times. My life had been in turmoil before I started using, and it's a lifestyle. The definition of mantra is a sacred utterance, and like an affirmation repeated or a chant, and we're all about building positivity and lifting others up, seeing people grow. We have clients, man, we help them, and we have a POA form with the wellness coaching, a recovery plan, and once they finish out they achieve everything, their goals, they move on. They don't book with us anymore, and that's fine. That's what we're fucking. That's the job. A lot of these treatment centers and other people in this industry, they love that revolving door. They try to bait them in and keep them in, keep that money coming in. It's not about the fucking money with us, man. When I work with someone, I see myself. It's not about the money with us. And this is a lifestyle, straight up.
Well, I'm glad you guys said that because I hate that when people are, like, there's a scarcity mindset. Like, there's only so many people that they can help. Like, there's only so many people with substance use disorder. Like, if they actually gave quality treatment, there would still be a line for more treatment. So I don't understand that at all.
Oh, amen. I mean, I live in Minnesota, and people call this the land of 10,000 treatment centers. And it's like, there's always waits on beds at a lot of these, programs, and there's treatment centers everywhere out here. So I agree. I mean, the need's not going to go away. You want to make an impact, you want to help people, then, and I think it's key. You mentioned in the beginning of your sharing that you're trying to recognize that there's multiple ways that different people recover because different people are different, and So to explore that as a coach is supposed to, and meet them where they're at and figure out what's that person's individual needs is huge, you know, instead of just driving people to one thing, you know, that doesn't work for everybody.
Absolutely.
Well, and there's not enough treatment that treats co-occurring. They all say that they do, and they
Right.
market that they do,
Right.
Yeah.
but they don't. And then there'll be somebody they'll make excuses. Oh, they were in the hospital too long, so we can't take them because we only take people within 30 days of whatever. And where a veteran that has severe PTSD, it'll up their benefits aren't working correct. Like there's always an excuse when they say that they're co-occurring. You can find out real quick if they are, just by how they react.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, I work for a private facility. I won't put their name out there. I wish I could. But they literally had an alumni coordinator, but their job was to check in with clients that discharged at like 30, 60, 90-day intervals in the hopes of them relapsing and having the same insurance policy. And a lot of treatment programs operate that way.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
It's reality, though.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of them. I mean, like we're connected to some really good programs. You know, there's definitely some quality programs out there, but I think for every good program, there's 10 shitty ones. You know,
Well, 100. Probably for every one good one, there's 100 shitty, crappy ones.
Yeah. I was trying to be nice, but yeah.
I live in Florida. We have a lot of treatment here, so I got.
Yeah, y'all are fucked up. Yeah.
Old Florida shuffle.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys ever seen that movie Body Brokers?
Hell yeah, I love that fucking movie, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where they don't do that so much anymore. But yeah, that was a very real portrayal of what was going on with the whole Florida shuffle and even some.
Mhm. Well, that's like a super extreme version of what you were just talking about. You know, like this wasn't them checking up on them, hoping that they relapse. This was them straight up like, here, I got some housing for you, and putting them in a crack house. You know, like
You don't think they still do that? They pick
It's
people.
just-
There's places that pick people up and house them,
Yeah.
women, and take advantage and give them drugs.
Yeah.
And traffic them when they've been released from.
Yeah.
it's insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's some of those are not. Those are not for-profit companies doing that. People in the recovery community.
That's horrible.
That pisses me off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Brett's having issues. There's two Redbeards. Oh, now there's one again.
Yeah, we lost power and internet and possible tornado. So cool.
Oh, shit.
What?
Yeah, it's bad out here, man.
Yeah, it's raining pretty hard.
Oh, you guys are from Texas too?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're in Dallas.
Hey,
Yeah, Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, we got 70-mile-an-hour winds right now.
Jesus.
I think getting back to like what you talked about with the ketamine and stuff, the research that I've seen based on, I mean, has looked really good, honestly. I think it's about, this country, like the accountability isn't there. We put the people that profit off of this stuff in control of, regulating it. And so you never know what's good and what's not. And I think, but from what I've seen out of the research, it's, especially if it's been doing things for people that have tried a million other things and that's their last hope is, and it's like, why would you not allow someone that's tried X, Y, and Z to have an option?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it's not the first choice if, you've tried, I don't know how that works, but I mean, if you want to even go back to talking about 12-step, the founder of AA.
Yeah, don't get me started. I mean, okay, yeah. So, you know, when Bill Wilson was in Towns Hospital and he had his white light third step experience, right? He was under the influence of hallucinogenic plant medicine. Henbane and what was the other
Belladonna?
one? Belladonna have hallucinogenic properties. So he was fucked up, right? And then fast forward to the 50s where he was using LSD with Aldous Huxley and Lois and Father Dowling, you know? So it's like he saw the benefit in psychedelics, right? And he brought that to AA and was like damn near ostracized from the fellowship that he founded for it because they're like, you're fucking crazy. But, I mean, Bill Wilson was fucking crazy. I mean, like him and Lois were spiritualists. You know, they would have seances and shit in their house. I research, you know, the history of AA and Bill Wilson, right?
But what's messed up is that the like key thing in AA or NA is, you know, the how of recovery: honesty, open-mindedness, willingness. So where's the open-mindedness if you're all gonna, you know, ostracize the man because he's trying to show you something new?
Exactly.
He thought
Right.
that psychedelics were the future of saving the alcoholic.
Right.
And, you know, what's funny is, so since I started speaking out on all this stuff, because I documented my ketamine experience on LinkedIn, all social media, and I've gotten so many like DMs. Is that what you would call it on LinkedIn? Private messages, whatever the professional DM term is what you get on LinkedIn. So
you don't have a DM when you're married.
Yeah,
That's out the window.
That's true.
Sean will kill you.
So, yeah, but I get messages from people still that are asking me about psychedelics because they're personally interested in it. And some of these people are like heavy hitters of the treatment industry. These are like hardcore AA people that you would never guess in a million years. Like, it shocks me. I'm like, damn, like this person's asking me about this shit, but they don't want to say it out loud.
Yeah.
Or like we'll go to a networking event and they'll like whisper, you know, outside the door. And it's like, man, fuck what these people think. Like, there's a lot of value in this shit. I don't give a shit what anybody thinks anymore. I used to, but it's like, man, all those people that you're scared of are the same people that are going to have their hand out when this psychedelic cash grab starts, because all this shit is going to be legal. And everybody,
but then again too, you've done your own research and they haven't yet. They're like at the curiosity stage, so they ain't trying to be like loud about something they don't know about. You know what I mean? They want to learn about it.
I know, I'm just outspoken, you know, but
Well,
like
secrets and shame are what made us sick, and like that was one of the problems why I kind of left the 12-step world. Like that was my early pathways, but after a couple of years, it's like you know, they would tell you, I would see people come in and they're like, I have a medical card, am I allowed to say anything? Oh, everybody does it, just don't talk about it. And it's like,
the only requirement for membership is the desire, right? Like you're not required to be even clean to go to them fucking meetings. I don't know. I mean, I would not bash 12-step, you know, at all, any pathway for that matter. You know, and it in the beginning was obviously like my primary way, CMA, NA, AA, you know, all that shit. And I still stay connected to it, but you know, now it's been a number of years. It's like I've continued to learn, continue to explore other pathways. I draw from a lot of wells in my recovery, not just one, right? So there's there's validity to any of them, and some people, different strokes for different folks. Some people it works wonderfully. Some people that's not their cup of tea. So
Oh, I
I
wasn't
guess.
talking bad. I was just saying it was, hard for me to. I felt guilty bringing Tylenol, and then they're telling people to lie about
Right.
having a card. So I'm like, how am I going to be authentic here and be honest? And
But see, that's fucked up because you're not supposed to shoot your wounded, right? So I shouldn't be giving anybody shit for nothing.
Yeah. So let
You
me
know?
be clear. I do want to clarify. So like my foundation was in 12 step. It was CA, which is AA, right? I worked the steps very quickly. And I'm actually the founder of Opiates Anonymous. The only reason I even did that shit though was because I was living in a sober living that required me to make 2 meetings a week, and I hated them. So I figured I'm just going to start my own fucking meeting if I have to go. And,
Damn right.
Yeah, and that's what I did. But I don't go to that shit anymore.
Is it a successful meeting though now?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I still carry the torch.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, look.
No, I love that though, because if you see a need, right, whether it's a community need that you see in other people, or if you're sitting there going, this fucking meeting sucks, this meeting sucks, those people suck, I want to start my own thing. But I just love people like that. And I'm blessed to say I got a lot of people like that in my life, that just, they get shit started, man. They do raise up new things, and they bring people together, man. And that's what this shit's about, dude. Like,
yeah, and it's still going strong, and all the people that attend, they're pretty much, they're my friends.
Yeah.
Even when I was connected to the fellowship, I never really believed in lifelong sponsorship anyway. It's kind of like, when you work that program, it's like a business agreement, right? Like you go to this person because they got sober using this program, and you want them to show you how to do that. So once you do that and you go through those steps, that's it, right? Like you part as friends if you do that, and it's a wrap, and then you just do the maintenance. But unfortunately, the message.
Well, you go do it for someone else. You show someone else.
Exactly. But the whole I had a bad day, call your sponsor. Like, what's your sponsor say about that? Like, fuck that.
They were never intended to be life coaches or to be your therapist. They were supposed to. It was because it was secret meetings, and you needed someone to vouch for you.
Yeah,
so sponsors were supposed to get you in and be vouch for you and be your person, but it became this thing that it was never intended to be.
That's why my sponsor always reads that. I think it's chapter 7, working with others. That's the first fucking thing he does with anybody who wants to work with him, because he wants them to know flat out the gate, like, I am not this, I am not that, I am not that. Like, don't get it twisted, man.
That's how it should be.
You know what? And then too, man, I noticed this shit, like, even I noticed it a lot today. People in the program are putting their sponsor on a fucking pedestal and treating them like they're higher power. I don't have to run every fucking thing through my sponsor that I do in life because I have a connection with something greater than myself. That's who I consult with. If I want to date somebody, if I want to buy a car, if I want to move, what the fuck do I need to call them for? I call my power, whom I choose to call the universe. That's why I get my answers. Somebody
told me a long time ago, if you put me on a pedestal, I'll piss all over you, man. Like, don't do it.
Exactly what the fuck's happening. A lot of these people in the program, they're like, oh, my sponsor this. Man, fuck that. They're a piece of shit, just like you. Just like me.
Well,
they draws on one leg at a time, unless they a cold motherfucker can get in with 2 legs.
Yeah, we're just humans, man. That's all any of us are, dude.
Yeah.
Well, I think that comment in the chat, and it's posted there, substance in the street have changed how addiction affects our biology. We need new pastor cover me. I think that opiates are a different animal than what addiction has been in the past. I know that so many people say, you know, that their drug of choice was more, but that wasn't the case for me. I've never had an issue with any other substances except when I got an injury and was on 3 surgeries in a year and a half, and then pain management. Like, that was the only thing I've ever, you know, as far as substances. So, and I also think that there's a link between, you know, the dopamine receptors. There's a lot of ADHD with people that also have opiate use disorder. There's a lot of with, you know, depression. So SSRIs are hard on you. Like, they're hard to get off of. They're take a long time to work. And so if something like ketamine works for somebody, that wouldn't, you know, doesn't necessarily leave them feeling, not that SSRIs necessarily make people feel like high or anything, but it's just they're hard on the body a lot of times, and they're hard to get off of, and they're, so I don't know. I think being open-minded to other options are important.
Definitely.
Yeah, and so when we do, okay, so we have 6 different services, right? But one of those is wellness coaching, which is like a mashup between recovery coaching and life coaching, right? More slanted towards life coaching. But, you know, we have I hate the word holistic because it's a buzzword that everybody fucking uses, but it means mind, body, and spirit, right? So we truly do, I think I call it an integrated approach on the website. So when we do our initial assessment, the first meeting with somebody, we have like it's a biopsychosocial, but it's been adapted to what we do, right? So we've taken some things out, we've added a lot of things. So we look at the whole picture because it's not just drugs and alcohol, right? We use drugs and alcohol because we're already fucked up. You know, some people, maybe they weren't fucked up and they just developed a habit. I don't come across a lot of people like that, but I mean, that does happen.
Well, I was messed up before. It just wasn't with substances.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So like most of us were, right? So, you know, we find the solution to our problem, you know, until it turns on us, and, you know, then that becomes our problem. But we look at everything, man. Like, did you graduate high school? Like, did you get a degree? What do you want to do? Do you need a resume? Like, we'll create you a resume. When's the last time you had a physical? You know, do you have any mental health diagnoses? Like, are you on medication? Are you supposed to be taking medication? We look at the whole picture. I mean, we ask, what does spirituality mean to you? You know,
Do
like,
you have a therapist?
Yeah. Like, what does that look like in your life?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're resource brokers. You know, that's where the recovery coaching piece comes in, and we connect people to resources. And that's another thing, is we're not like we don't have an Excel spreadsheet of like reference that we send everybody to, so we can call them and be like, hey, I sent you 3 people, like, you owe me. You know? Like, we take that assessment and then just the knowledge that we gain from working with that individual to, you know, get a feel for the type of person that they are. And we're like, okay, so-and-so would be perfect for him.
Right.
Make them do it. We're just like, hey, how about this? What do you think? If they don't like it, okay, yeah, fuck that guy. Okay, let's find something else, right? So, I mean, we work for the client. You know, we never push them in any direction that they don't want to go. And we just take that journey with them. But yeah, I mean, we look at the whole when we work with people.
And we want to help whomever find their truth. What is your truth? And live that out in authenticity and transparency. Be the authentic you. Whatever that looks like, we're going to support that and provide resources for that. Because nobody's recovery or healing looks the same.
Right.
And he was speaking about the ketamine. What's the name of that show on Netflix?
How to change your mind.
How to change your mind. In the next 5 to 10 years, the way recovery and mental health looks is going to be totally different. And we're pushing, we advocate for this wave that's about to happen. We're at the forefront of this wave. We let our nuts hang over here because we know what's coming.
There's only a couple of people in this space that are outspoken about this kind of shit. And I do want to shout out my boy Zach Wallace and Soul Tools.
Soul Tools, baby.
You guys check out Soul Tools. They are on the level. And they also want to get on this podcast too. So
yeah.
And tell them to contact us.
All right.
Oh yeah.
Open to, I've said it a million times, anything that works for people, it is what it is. I have my own personal beliefs on, I think that there's a lot of actual pharmaceutical medications make things worse. That's not me saying people with certain conditions should not take medicine. That's not what I'm saying at all. There's definitely certain things you have to take medication for, but I also think that we are very over medicated as a society.
yeah.
Right. But sorry, go ahead.
I do just want to say this because it would be irresponsible of me to not acknowledge that, our company, we are not just completely against people taking medications because, you have schizophrenia. You have some serious mental health issues that definitely require medication. Okay. So I'm not just like, no, fuck that. Take mushrooms. Like, you know what I mean? It's not what we're doing.
That's good stuff.
You know what I'm seeing cause the most problems, honestly, lately?
What's that?
It's not schizophrenia and it's not all that. Like, the thing that's causing psychosis the most is marijuana.
Really?
Well, this shit ain't like it used to be, bro. But I think too, to what you guys were talking about, it's like the second you bring up a thought, an idea, a treatment that either somebody's never heard of, or, to your point, like if you're coming from an abstinent-based program and you hear somebody talk about anything, you hear the word ketamine, they're instantly like their mind shuts and they're like, you're not sober, blah, blah, blah. And dude, okay, if people would just shut up and listen, maybe get curious, ask some questions, like, tell me about this, because I don't have to understand it, but you can help me understand it. But people's tendency, I think, is when they don't understand it, they fear it or they reject it, right? Like they get mad at it, whatever. And instead,
celebrations have you been to for people celebrating 10 years and you're like, they're high right now?
Well, that's true. But that's different, right?
Oh.
Like they're hiding their shit. I'm talking about.
I'm just saying, the judgment. Why have judgment?
Right. But like with this would be considered like a medical treatment, and yet they would still, some people would still reject that thought. All I'm saying is people need to like adopt the heart of a student rather than thinking they know everything, like they're the teacher. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we advocate this. I didn't say this either. With the plant-based medicine, we advocate for it, but with integration, either a therapist or someone to walk with you, to guide you or coach you as you're doing the medicine. We ain't talking about going to put on Pink Floyd, The Wall, and fucking taking some shrooms, talking about, hey, you're right. No.
Light some candles. Yeah.
That's kind of what I meant like earlier when I'm like, we let people that profit off of these things make the regulations, like you can get a medical marijuana card for anything, and the content of THC is super high, which is causing people with the psychosis. If it was just in a clinical setting where they couldn't take it home, or there was somebody watching what was going on, you know, I've seen some great transformations of people lately with severe diagnoses, schizophrenia, that schizoaffective, and if they get treatment early with these things, they have great prognoses. It's when they don't get treatment.
Yeah.
I know a girl that went down to Mexico like 7 years ago or something and did ibogaine treatment, and she hasn't touched heroin in fucking years. Doesn't even want to do it.
Yeah.
So the ibogaine, we have friends that have a place out in Mexico. We have personally, this is why like we're passionate about this. We personally know people that were chronic fucking relapsers like myself.
Right.
For 20 years would get 6 months, fall off. A year, fall off. That went and did plant-based medicine. Then after that, worked the 12 steps and are fucking sober right now.
Dude, totally. And how is that any different than when I first came in to the rooms or to treatment centers? Holy shit, dude. I did like 11 inpatient treatments. I had to go to meetings with all those. The entire time I thought it was a fucking cult, bullshit, blah, blah, blah. I didn't trust any of them. I thought they were all full of shit. And what convinced me is the same thing you're talking about. When I actually kept coming back and I started to see the change happen, and I knew these people and I knew they were different now, and I watched them thinking it was a fluke or some pink cloud bullshit, and it didn't go away. They continued to get better and change even more. That was what convinced me. Same thing you're talking about. You know, you seen the proof is in the pudding, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And with those,
it's awesome.
So integration is very important. I mean, you can have a single psychedelic journey, and you can continue to work with an integrationist years based on that one journey, you know? So I think that's really key to substances, or these medicines, I should say, successfully and having the most benefit that you can from it.
Right.
Well, and there's a lot of proof that your brain can be rewired.
Exactly. Exactly.
So the chemicals initially could have rewired our brains, and there's other things that can rewire them back to a. But I'm telling you, I've seen some out of the VAs, their studies on psychedelics with PTSD and you know, military sexual trauma victims and stuff that they've tried everything, medication resistant depression, like you said. The results have been really, really good.
Yeah.
Right. And you know, everything starts here in the, you know, the controlled testing stages. You got to test it right enough times so that you have quantitative research to prove that, like, you know, and have some actual numbers, some actual statistics that make sense because you've tested it a lot. So this shit is still pretty new, and I know it's actually been around for quite a while, but I guess that we're just slow catching on or something. I don't know.
But with all that too, like, that is just one of many pathways to recovery that we support. You know what I mean? I don't want people to listen to this and just be like, oh, mantra recovery, that's those fucking psychedelic guys. Because that's not what we are, you know? We just support change in people's lives, you know, for the better. So whatever that looks like, man, I mean, I'm not religious, but I mean, shit, if somebody wants to do Celebrate Recovery, like, let's fucking figure that shit out and let's get you plugged in. And, you know, we can sit here and talk about Jesus and shit. That's fine.
Yeah.
That was my pathway originally. So.
But seriously, you know, I mean, Dharma recovery. I mean, there's all kinds. There's smart recovery. There's so many paths to recovery, and those are just like fellowships and programs. I mean, it doesn't even have to necessarily be that, you know. Oh, shout out Sean Johnson Tripp. That's my beautiful wife.
What's up?
Yeah, I think I freaked her out with the whole thing. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go do this fucking drug, and you know.
Bro, last time I did ketamine, I fucking.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude, I'd be like, I'd do it. I'd lay down on the couch. I'd be watching like Fear and Loathing. I would like lose time, just and then when I'd snap out of it, I'd just go do it again. Fuck, just up and down.
Bro,
lost.
The experience in a therapeutic setting is wildly different, man. Because
I bet.
I'd snorted ketamine. I used to take, we used to drive to Mexico and we would park at the border. This is before 9/11, right? So like you would park there and then you would just like go through the turnstile and walk across the Rio Grande. And we would go pick up Xanax, of course. And then we would also go to the veterinarian pharmacy and get Ketaset and bring it back. And then we would do that shit IM, and we would take a Greyhound back. And we would just be like in a K-hole the whole trip back. We'd get it home, cook it up, and sell it, right? So I had a lot of experience with ketamine. And I've done massive amounts of it, you know, in that time of my life. But this shit is completely different. And I mean, the amount that they give you too, you are like pretty much instantly in that K-hole, right? Like your whole reality just disintegrates and you become a part of the cosmos and shit. Like it's awesome, you know, like to be sober and to have good intentions and have that experience. What's the comedian that said drugs are like amusement parks for adults? Was that George Carlin?
Probably.
Somebody.
Yeah. Sounds like some shit he would say.
Yeah, I think it was. But I mean, I felt like that was that rang pretty true during my first experience because I was able to enjoy it, but not too much to where it was like, oh my God, I want more of this drug. You know, it was more the experience, and it was just completely different, man. And I came out of it like really a changed person.
Nice. Well, I'm glad it worked for you, brother.
Yeah.
And thank you for sharing your experience with it. Because I don't think, you know, it's what I was saying earlier. Like a lot of people just hear it and I hope they're listening, you know, and hearing you out because we can't judge other people's pathways, you know. We should try to learn about them. So that's what we're doing here.
Let me say a couple more things because I know we're almost out of time. So Mantra Recovery, like we're real big on transparency and being accessible to all people, right? So like CJ touched on, we help people no matter what, right? Like before we got on here, I had somebody calling me asking about a facility that took Medicaid. We're not making any money off that shit, right? But we plug them in with somebody that's going to help them, right? So it's not always about the money. It's about us putting that positive energy into the universe, and you know that's going to come back our way. But our pricing is like clearly marked on our website. All of our services, like you go to it, you choose the service, you book it, and you pay online. I don't know anybody else that does it that way. Like people that provide these kinds of services usually just have a shitty website with an email and a phone number. And then when you call them, they try to rope you into a 6-month plan that's going to cost you $20,000.
And they never bring up money. Ever.
That's not us. You know, like we have accessible pricing. We are far more reasonable than anybody offering the services that we offer. But yeah, if you go to mantrarecovery.com, all that shit is right there. You know, so we do pride ourselves on that and just making it easy to access care. We also have advanced care credit. So we're a provider with them. Normally that's just doctors and dentists and shit. But I don't know how we swung that, but if somebody can't afford an intervention, they can find somebody who has at least fair credit, because it doesn't even have to be the individual themselves. It can be a loved one, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. If you can just find somebody that would qualify, they can finance our services.
Nice.
Well, I'm looking at your website now. I like that you guys have family support on there, so you address that that's important.
Yeah, Jenny Edelman is our family support specialist, and she is amazing.
Hey, Jenny. Hey, girl.
And what type of like interventions do you do?
So we have the mantra model, right? So like, I think when a lot of people think of interventions, you think of the show intervention, right? Which that style is called the Johnson model, right? Where you get everybody around, you read a letter, you tell them what a piece of shit they are, right? And hope they don't fucking run out the room.
Not effective.
Yeah, I mean, it's traumatic, and you're automatically, that wall just goes up, and you're working to overcome that, like from jump, right? So what we do is we will talk to the family, a couple times over the phone. I'm a minimalist, I just want to like streamline everything. I just need some basic information about what you think is going on, because a lot of times the loved one really doesn't know what the fuck's going on, right? They're just like, oh, they're fucked up, they're on meth.
Yeah.
They might not even be on meth. They might just be taking Adderall or something.
Yeah.
So, we get their idea of what's going on, and then we'll have them meet us wherever the individual is. So we set up a day and time. We have them let us in. And they're just like, hey, this is Adam and CJ and Jenny. These are some friends of mine. And just make an introduction. And then we have them leave. And then so it's just us and the individual. And we just level with them. Like, man, like, what's going on? Like, if they don't want to admit to anything going on, like, well, why did your husband or your wife reach out to us, because they're essentially worried that you're gonna fucking die, like something's going on, right? We're really good at building rapport very quickly and gaining trust. And sometimes we've been in some situations where it's the family and they really are legit overreacting.
Yeah.
And some of our first couple of interventions I didn't really feel very good about, but you live and you learn. They had the treatment all set up, and we have 100% success rate, so that these people went to treatment. We took them, but should they have gone to residential treatment? Probably not.
Yeah.
But that's the service that we were paid, we were hired to do. But now it's not always about going to treatment. We can do an intervention and it's like, okay, well, maybe let's just plug you in with a therapist, because if I can keep anybody out of a residential treatment center, I'm fucking doing that shit, because not everybody needs that shit, and if we can catch somebody before they get to that point, I mean, that's ideal, really. But just to answer your question, I mean, that's basically just how we do it. I mean, we level with the people and we share our experience. Yeah, and that's about it.
Motivational interviewing.
Motivational interviewing.
You work in the field, don't you, Ashley?
I
Yeah.
sure don't.
Yours for nothing.
Oh,
I don't work for them. I'm just that's my
I'm
boss.
just the president.
Salute.
I work
I'm kind of a big deal.
So, fun fact, I also work as a patient care technician at a detox, right? / med surge. When families come visit the patient in detox, right? Every time the family is there or have just left, the patient's blood pressure is elevated. Never fails. That's why a lot of detoxes don't have visitation there. every time the family comes up there, their blood pressure immediately skyrockets. So hey,
That's what Ativan's for.
exactly, yeah. And then we shoot them in the ass with that.
Calm down.
Go lay down somewhere.
We'll see. Like that's a big part of, not knowing healthy ways to communicate, and not that it's the family's fault, but they're just worried and upset, and so they micromanage and blame, and instead of just saying, hey, I love you, I'm worried about you, I want you to be okay. Like we aren't taught to do those things. We're taught to be like, I can't believe you did this and you're putting me through this, and that's it's hard for someone when they're not feeling so hot.
Right.
Yeah, and ideally, somebody that works with us, say they come to us with, wanting an intervention. Ideally, they're going to work with Jenny, doing some family support work. And, if the individual goes to treatment, we're going to be a part of that treatment team and in communication with their therapist, the case manager, whatever. Most facilities drop that ball like very quickly.
Yeah.
But whatever. In an ideal world, that's what it would be. And, they would get out and we would work with them as wellness coaches, and then they've got like that whole family dynamic is being cared for, and we can actually piece that back together. I mean, that's really what we're trying to do.
And I think that model is, more sustainable for long term, because you can only be in treatment for so long. You're going to go back to home, or your mom, your wife, your husband, whatever this case may be. And if they're learning how to effectively communicate and working on their stuff at the same time, like they're getting better as you're getting better. And, I'm not saying it's the family's fault, because I don't want that to be taken, but there's a lot of trauma that's done on families from watching someone they love go through this, and nobody knows how to do it in a healthy way unless you're taught.
Yeah. Brett, what's up, man?
I'm here. We survived, man.
The bearded man. All we see is your symbol.
I'm on my
Oh,
phone
there
now.
he is. All right.
Internet's down at my house,
And now it's back.
but we're here.
You came just in time for us to leave.
Did Jason already do the closing stuff?
No, I think he got knocked off too.
Damn. Okay, well, I can do my best to do it from my phone. I don't think I've ever done it from my phone before, but I'll try.
But was there anything else that you guys wanted to tell us about Mantra? Or if people wanted to check it out, it's mantrarecovery.com.
Yeah, mantrarecovery.com. That's it. I mean, any questions that you may have can be answered on the website. We've got our phone numbers on there too, so you can just give us a call, shoot us an email if you have any questions. And I don't give a shit if you have money or not.
Yeah.
Give me a call. We're going to help you no matter what. I also want to shout out both of our wives, because without them, there would be no Mantra Recovery, and we sure as hell would not be the men that we are today.
No doubt.
Nice. All right, well, I'm going to do the quick outro stuff. Let's see if this works. Is it going to work? Can you guys hear music?
Yeah.
Jason's annoying.
Nice, because it sounds like a robot. Nice, it worked. All right, cool. Let's try to do this outro stuff. It's going super slow on my end. There we go. If you guys are joining us tonight on YouTube, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on your notifications so you know when we go live, which is every Thursday night. Mr. Jason Rudine, who got knocked off the stream, has his own show, The Way Out Podcast, with him and his buddy Charles, who was a guest a few months back. Be sure to check that out. I feel like the music's super loud now, so let me turn it down a little. Oh, wrong way. Man, I'm not good at doing this from my phone. I need my computer. I have a show, Recovery Survey, new episodes every Wednesday morning. Morsels of Recovery. Check that out. Usually about 30-minute episodes. LC, who could not join us tonight, also has a show, Recovery Soul Food. He goes live here on the Recovery Revolution Facebook page, so be sure to tune into that on Saturday evenings. And we're in the process of, if this will, well, I don't know if it's showing on your screen or not, because my phone is like all frozen up. We're in the process of starting a recovery podcast network. So we got a bunch of people together. They're doing recovery shows. So check that out on Facebook and on Instagram. It is growing rather quickly. It's only been in existence for about 24 hours now, but we got about 9 shows that are all coming together to spread the message of recovery and hope and healing. So be sure to check that out. And again, thank you to Adam and CJ for coming on the show tonight. I apologize that I wasn't really there for much of it because weather and internet and power issues, but I will be sure to listen to the replay. If you guys do want to check it out, you can watch it on Facebook, YouTube, or we also do an audio-only version. So search for Recovery Revolution Live on your favorite podcast player. Until next week, guys, remember, progress, not perfection.